Hello, everybody. Joe the Lawyer here, and this is my second video in my new series because I'm starting a new second edition campaign coming up in a few months, and I'm getting together all the resources I need and developing the setting and all the house rules and everything else. And I figured I'm going to lay it all out as I go. All right. So if you guys watched the first video, what you saw was me doing the setting. All right. I was choosing an area of the Forgotten Realms, which I kind of broke and shattered and edited and changed and making it my own. All right, so that's the first video, and I developed it out and laid out all the various who lives where kind of stuff in that video. The second video, now that I did that, the way my weird brain works, now I need to gather all my resources. All right, and so what you're seeing here on the screen, some of all my resources I'm going to choose from, right? As this is a lot of the old school stuff there on the left. Of course, you see the first and second edition stuff, all the modules, a lot of box sets, especially Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk stuff, and you see on the right hand side and on top a lot of old school stuff, OSR related, and even older non D&D stuff, right? So just just an idea. More second edition stuff up there, better view of the first picture, and all the 5e stuff. And yes, I do want to believe, damn it, I want them to all be real. I want to be beamed up someday. But yeah, so this is all the stuff I'm dealing with. But what I do with my physical media is I get all together everything that I want to use and I put it on one bookshelf. All right. And that's what you see here. Well, maybe one and a half. All right. I kind of got a little overflow. In addition to that, what I'm doing is I go through a lot of PDFs that I have and I say, you know what, I like to maybe have this in print. So I went through and bought a lot of print stuff recently. A lot of the plastic around these things, especially the complete handbooks and whatnot, are print. And so are these revised handbooks. Now, I guess I might as well start it off with that. I mean, let's zoom in here. And so, as you know, as you saw from the other pictures, I got all the second edition books, various multiple copies of both editions. There was a second edition and a second edition revised, right? The second edition revised stuff, that's the black with the gold lettering that you saw before. Now, I have the books, but I don't want to beat on them. So what I did, especially since I want some PDFs, is I went to drive through and I picked up these green books here, the Player's Handbook, the DM Guide, and the Monster Manual, right? So what I have here are these handbooks so I can beat on them a bit, right, and then take them with me and wherever I go. So this is the sort of thing that I want to use as the core resource. Now, this is all the players are allowed as the Player's Handbook, and everything else is for me. All right, all the rest of this crap is all me that I could pick and choose from, because I got this weird idea in my head that the internet, and here comes an old guy rant, the internet is making it too easy to access information, so we're all being intellectually lazy and never accumulating knowledge in our own heads. And if we have this knowledge in our head, that's where you churn, right? You have these weird esoteric little stupid things, and once you have it in your brain, you can sit there and think about stuff. But if you just have access to it, you don't have the ability to just think about the stuff and let it churn around. Letting it churn is when you're driving in the car back and forth to work, or you're taking a shower, or you're sitting on the porch with a beer, and you're just thinking about, here, I know this, I know that. How do I combine these two to make something different and unique? I think that's where genius comes from. Not that I'm a genius in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I could barely figure out how to use StreamYard here. So, but this is the kind of stuff I like to read. I like to have the book in hand to read it. I can't read on PDF and absorb things as well as I can with a book in hand. I guess I'm just damn old, right? So what I've been doing is getting together all the various PDFs that I have, putting them in one, my hard drive, and arranging them in different directories that I think are going to be useful. Once I look at those PDFs, what I do is say, you know what would I want to have on my shelf that I could read? Okay, and just pick through and pick apart here. So definitely Forgotten Realms Adventures, because I'm using Specialty Priests, and that's fantastic. Monster Mythology, because that's put out by Carl Sargent, one of the greatest authors for anything D&D ever. Dungeoneer Survival Guide, great one. Book of Spelunking, that's I guess called the companion, because Douglas Niles was involved in that too. Now we have the Tome of Alchemy here, put out by Swords and Wizardry guys. Psionic stuff, Dragon Kings, and Psionic's Handbook is excellent. And then we have all the complete books. Okay, so all these complete books have everything except for the ninja book, and it bugs the crap out of me on some level that I don't have the ninja book, but I'm not going to use ninjas. But on the other hand, my OCD says get every book, damn it. But no, I'm gonna hold off. But these are pretty good. Some of them are hit and miss, some of them are average, some of them really good, some of them really suck. Elves, excellent, greatest elf resource book ever. Doors, bleh, whatever, right? but they're kind of good resources, right? And these two spiral bound things here, that is the Necromancer book, and that the other one is the Of Ships and Sea. Because what I did was I went out to eBay or wherever, Noble Knight, and found, I'll pay $50 for a book that's out of print. No big deal. I'm not going to pay $150. So I got the PDF, I printed it up here at home, double-sided, took it to like a Staples or a Kinko's, spiral bounded, boom, there you go, $30 easy, a lot cheaper, right? Now these compendiums, Encyclopedia Magica, the Wizard's Priests, and the other, I do have the first Wizard book. It's just buried behind the spiral bound there. What I'm doing with those, that's every spell, every of both classes, and all the magic items ever pretty much done for TSR that they ever put out up to the publishing point of these. Excellent. I'm going to use these resources too. I could drop good stuff in there on the players, you know. And what I'm going to do with these handbooks, instead of like my last house rules video that you guys might have listened to, me and my brother at the fire pit, which another one's coming soon. What I'm going to do, instead of reading the house rules and discussing them, I'm going to go over these rules in a different way. I'm going to talk about, for example, thieves. Talk about what's good in the Thieves Handbook, what resources I'm using for thieves, some of the Lankmar stuff, for example, some of the best thieves books ever written were for Lankmar. And I'm going to get all that stuff together. I'm going to lay it out in my house rules, and I'm going to talk about the books I use, what's good about them, and what's decent about the house rules and why I chose those things. So rather than do one long hour-and-a-half video about all the house rules, I'm going to break it up in parts. You don't give a shit about the fighter stuff, but you may care about the thief stuff. You may care about the magic stuff and not the melee stuff. Who knows? That's what I'm going to do for you guys, okay? Scrolling down here. Now the stuff on the right, all these reprints that they're putting out for Goodman there, I'm not going to use those probably for this campaign, but I just, as you saw before, I'm out of shelf space. So I'm not going to use them, but I am going to use the stuff on the left, because what you have here, a bunch of different monster books, some 5e, some old school, whatever. Tyrannic Tome, guys, it's an old book put out early on in the TSR by Evolved Grottos and Griffins, Raphael Chandler, EGG, Gygax, you know. But it's a great resource, all new monsters, well done, creepy, weird, creative stuff. So pick that up if you can. I don't know if it's still in print, but I'm sure you could do a print on demand somewhere. So yeah, definitely worth picking up. But again, Tome of Beasts, Cobalt Press, good book. I didn't like the rest of them, but I thought the first one was good. Tome of Horrors, Tome Horrors Complete, Monstrosities, hard to find. 5th edition foes. Again, you could scale anything 5th edition down to old school, because we don't care about balance. We don't need no stinking balance, right? So that's just a fun thing to do, right? So as I put all this stuff together, this is my good reading material. This is where I get the churn. This is where I get all these ideas that just sort of float together. And as so over the next few months, I'm going to be putting out more videos based on what I'm thinking about, what I'm reading here. Okay. Some of the other things I have, let me show you some of these PDFs that I have. For Golden Glory by Justin Brown. It's, I guess you could call it a 2nd edition retro clone, right? What it is essentially, what you're able to do with this is go back and have a abbreviated, just like an Osric kind of book for 2nd edition. You got the Monster Manual, Player's Handbook, DM Guide, all in one book. Okay. And so you can look at this thing and figure out in a different format, a different way. If you have any questions, here's a different way to interpret it. I've heard it's especially good for things like spells, because I know back in the day, 1st edition AD&D had weird spell descriptions and led to a lot of debate. 2nd edition cleared a lot of that crap up, but there was still some inconsistencies, contradictions, or ambiguities, right? This guy went through all the spells and sort of fixed all that shit, right? So that's pretty good. I'm going to use this as more of a resource, as a reference, I think, you know. In addition, a few other resources that are good that I picked up online. All this is on drive-through, guys. I bought this Hammond's Harvesting book for 5e. Again, I don't care that it's 5e. I'll steal it, right? And it's basically, what can you get when you kill something and you take their stuff? What's left? What's on them? And what other things that might they have that you can use and take? All right. Not just like, what is an owlbear? What's a feather on an owlbear? What is it good for? It might be good for a spell component for magic users. Might it be good for what's up, mattresses here for bedrooms? I mean, you know, little things like that your players may not think, this guy had no treasure, you know, but he had feathers. That might be good for something, right? So there's a couple Hammond's books, volume 1, volume 2. Here's another one, The Herbalist Primer. All right, excellent book. I backed this Kickstarter, Anna Urbanek. All right, it's good fluff. You know, all the different herbs, what they could be used for, what they're, you know, if you don't have to have alchemy or herbalism in your game to make use of this sort of thing. Just in terms of description. right? You might be able to pull something off here and there, just drips and drabs, just drop it into the game for a little more flavor, a little more immersion. It's all about immersion for me, right? Hunting and trapping. Picked this up off a drive-through a while back. A handbook for overland expeditions, basically an abbreviated wilderness survival guide, but all related to hunting. Hunting skills, hunting time, what you're going to get, tools of the trade, pictures, ambush. I mean, it's just a good, excellent book. Yeah, precision shot, misses. What happens if you hit it? Instant kill. Trapping. It's just a nice little book. Okay. Sword and Caravan by the RPG Pundit. Good stuff related to the Silk Road. Okay, so if you want to do anything, it's just a decent book. The guy knows his shit. Whatever you say about him, he knows his shit. He puts out good material. Here's the granddaddy, the Mammoth. This one will drain your computer when you load it up. I just backed this Kickstarter, The Tome of Adventure Design Revised by Matt Finch. He broke off from Swords and Wizardry, I guess, and went back to his old company. Or broke off from Frogod. I forget what the fuck it's up. Anyway. He owns his book and he's putting it out. It's a table for everything under the sun. Anything you could imagine, there's a table for it. Now, this is not used. Look at them all. It's not used at the table itself. This is used before the game starts, right? To create stuff. And what he did is really interesting. See on the right-hand side here, what you have is all these words. I guess we used to call it a word cloud back in the day. Wrath of the Elements, Counteracting Forces, Windstorm, Orange Rune, Armor of the Elementals. All these things that he just puts in your head like subliminally almost. And as you're reading the book, as you're going through it, you're just have this in your head and you might be able to create something that you never would have created before had you not read Pickled Onions or Captain of a River Barge, Watergates, things like that. Watergates, not Watergate. All right, so that's the sort of thing I'm looking to get here. Now, there's a whole lot of other stuff that you obviously don't see on this shelf. All right, just going through my directory here. Forgotten. 2E had a lot of things called monstrous compendiums, a lot of loose leaf binders that you get to pick and choose what you want, make your own binder. I hated them. Most people hated them, but there's like 15 of them. Good God, you could find any monster ever made in there, and it doesn't matter that they're Spelljammer or Ravenloft. It's a damn monster. Drop it in your game. At least the players aren't expecting it. It's not the same old goblins and orcs, right? It's something different. They don't know how to handle it. That's the thing. I want to shock and surprise these players with shit. What the hell is that? What do I do with this? I don't recognize that shit. And then they have to go fight it, right? They don't know what's going to happen, what special abilities or defenses it might have, right? Again, I have a whole section under Forgotten Realms, little things like the Aurora's Whole Realms catalog, like the old Whole Earth book, her Whole Earth catalog. Remember that from the hippie days, right? So Whole Realms catalog, it's a book of weird things that you might be able to buy for different professions, different trades, different classes. It's decent stuff. Stuff on demi-human deities, fates, and avatars, the Underdark campaign setting. Now, I just bought the 3rd edition Forgotten Realms campaign setting, as I heard from Glenn Seal was really great in terms of layout and content, so I picked that up too. So that's good. Or Monsters of Faerun, Races of Faerun, Serpent Kingdoms, all these books on PDF that I have that I'm just arranging and I'm going to make use of. Now, you don't see on my shelf, nor that on my usable shelf, they're on my other shelf, but you don't see up there the player's options, combat tactics, skills, power, spells, magic, and all that kind of crap. I'm not doing that, man. That's where it started to go down. That's where the game broke, I think. But I am using the Forgotten Realms Adventures book, as you see over there. Because the Forgotten Realms Adventures, I'm using specialty priests. I'm not using any clerics at all. Okay, so just specialty priests, and everybody's going to have something different. And they're all laid out very, very nicely in there. Okay, so that's another thing. That's pretty good, I think. In terms of general resources, other than the things I've shown you, I'll go through a few of the things that I'm going to use. A D30 DM's Companion and a D30 Sandbox Companion are excellent resources. I think you could pick them up anywhere. They're old school books, but hey, they're usable for any kind of game. Magical Medieval Society, I have great books. One on ecology and culture, one on Western Europe, one on the Silk Road. Really cool stuff. The Lazy DM's Companion and then Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, fantastic books. One book that everybody should use all the time for everything. I'm looking for it now. It's there it is. It's the 3rd edition Stronghold Builder's Guidebook, right? It's amazing. It's a book if you ever want to build something. If you ever want your characters need to build a mansion, a castle, a house, it lays out costs for everything. and it's transportable to any system. I think it works well. I mean, for anything. I've used it in 5e, I've used it in 3rd edition, I'm using it in old school games. It's a great system to buy things and keep track of costs and all that sort of thing. So that's nice. Courtney Campbell, I think, has this book, Bestial Ecosystems. Yeah, this is a good one. I just picked up. I backed this Kickstarter as well. It's basically all about the ecosystem of various monsters, right? So let's see. Start with the basilisk, right? Things that are known about it, rumors about the basilisk, really cool shit. This is the kind of stuff that you could drop into the game and give the players. You don't say bugbears of attack. Well, these things that they greenish eyes. They have no pupils. I don't know what the hell they are. The characters, what the hell is that? I don't know. It's like rumors you could have, things that are known, things that aren't known. It's fun. It makes it this rather than the standard. There's a message on the board and go kill the bugbears in the foul woods. Boring. You put something on there that makes them scared, though, right? That's it all about. It's all about making them scared to death. That's what you got to do, So if you can make them scared, you're good to go. That's what I love to do when they're like shitting their pants in the game. That's a fun thing. Now, another book you should pick up if you're going to do something like this too is the various rogue galleries for whatever whatever edition you have. There's a 2nd edition rogues gallery. A lot of NPCs you could use, statted out, leveled up, with abilities and this and that. And you can ignore the background and history and alignment, all that crap. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference, right? Use it for what it is. All right, use it for what it is. Oh, a comprehensive equipment manual. Nice. A lot of weird gear you could have. I love weird gear. I love dropping that crap in there. Especially if it comes with pictures. You can just show the characters, this is what the helmet looks like. And it's from a bygone era of the Netherese or something like that, and it's just kind of neat. What I'm going to do, like I alluded to earlier, I'm going to do something a little bit different. What I'm going to do coming up is lay out a video per, I guess you could call it, house rule section, right? Instead of reading my house rules, like I was saying, I'm gonna go into ranges, what I did with them based on what I used and what I read, and go over various things I thought about, agreed to, and discarded, and go from there. So you're gonna have all the stuff on ranges that you want to know that are in my house rules. That way you don't have to listen to an hour and a half video, right? That's going forward what I guess the next series of videos are going to be. Races, classes, and then I'll do one on magic, one on combat, all that sort of thing, whatever comes up. All right, that's what I'm going to lay out for the future here. But guys, if you like what I said, if you like listening to this sort of thing, like it down below. Click the little thumbs up thing, subscribe, hit notify, and all that. But definitely comment. I'm not saying it's just for the algorithm, but just because it does help get more viewers. But comment if you liked it, because it helps me to know what you guys want to hear about, right? So if you're telling me you don't want to hear this, but you want to hear more of that, I'll go into it. I'm here for here to entertain you guys. All right. So thanks for listening this long, and I hope you come back for the next video, folks. Thanks very much. Take care.